So National Signing Day may have been a little bit quiet yesterday, but today we need to talk about Coach DeBoer and the Alabama Crimson Tide, because even though it may have appeared to be quiet for the Tide, that doesn't diminish the impact that they made yesterday, and today we need to break it down. We also need to talk about a nugget that's sure to excite Alabama fans that came out yesterday that we have got to discuss, but before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited with how Coach DeBoer has navigated the early portion of being Alabama's head football coach? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And as I alluded to, though yesterday may have appeared to be a quiet day, that doesn't diminish the impact. And in fact, if you're looking at what Alabama was able to do, I think it's actually kind of impressive, and we're going to unpack it today. Whether or not we're talking about the preferred walk-ons that Alabama was able to sign in Tucker Cornelius, Jay Williams, and Anderson Green, a punter, a kicker, and a long snapper, all of which are incredibly impactful, or Quentin Reese, Ryan Williams, Noah Carter, I think Alabama fans everywhere need to be happy with what they were able to get yesterday as these athletes put pen to paper. We're going to focus today on Noah Carter, Ryan Williams, and Quentin Reese and why they could pave the way for successful recruiting in the future. We're going to start with Quentin Reese, the three-star linebacker from the state of Alabama, who revisited the Crimson Tide after Saban retired to get acclimated to the new coaching staff and had rave reviews. And that's why I find this to be compelling, because Quentin Reese was someone who was already committed to Alabama. The staff leaves, he revisits, and then reaffirmed his commitment to the Crimson Tide, and inherently that must be a good thing and a good sign about this new coaching staff. One of the things I've talked about ad nauseum when it comes to this new coaching staff is that one of the early reviews you hear about them is that they're super authentic, and the initial question about Coach DeBoer and company is, can they recruit in the SEC? Well, though that's going to be something that we have to see, one of the things I do know from living in the South is that if you're authentic, you can get in these living rooms. You can be able to shake the hands. Authenticity is king, and it's a great way to start fostering relationships. And apparently, so far, Coach DeBoer and company have been great at fostering, cultivating, and maintaining these relationships, even though they haven't been there very long. Whenever Coach DeBoer got to Alabama, his first job was maintaining the roster. Then, outside of that, it was maintaining the class of 2024, and then looking ahead to the class of 2025. But he had to make sure that he kept as much of what was already in the building as he couldn't. Truthfully, he did a very good job of that. So hearing a Quentin Reese revisit Alabama and reaffirm that, hey, this new coaching staff, fantastic. I really put my faith in them and I'm remaining committed to Alabama. I think that's great news. But then that gets us into Noah Carter, someone who had far greater relationships with Kalen DeBoer and company than did a Quentin Reese, than did a Ryan Williams. Noah Carter was committed to Washington and Coach DeBoer whenever DeBoer was the head coach of the Huskies, and ended up following him from Washington to Alabama, and Alabama fans everywhere are over the moon that he did, because he truly has next level ability. In fact, if you haven't, go ahead after this video ends, head over to Huddle and watch his senior film. It's actually ridiculous. I can't tell how many edges I've seen in my life be able to dominate off the edge, return punts, return kicks, play safety, play tight end, split out wide, outside wide receiver, and not just do all of those things, dominate at every single position he's put at. He stands 6'4", 220 pounds. He comes in as a top 100 player in all of high school football per the composite, and he is going to be an incredibly exciting athlete for the Crimson Tide moving forward. Looks to play the edge position, and he is a really upstanding young man. So Alabama fans already, you have a guy that talented who wanted to play for Coach DeBoer. He maintains that relationship. He maintains that commitment to DeBoer, goes from Washington to Alabama, and finally, the name that we've talked about so much, but that certainly doesn't diminish the impact, is Ryan Williams. And one of the things I've said at length about Ryan Williams is we have got to acknowledge that when he was previously committed to Alabama, there were three names that were massive in his process: Coach Wiggins, Coach Robinson, and Coach Saban, none of which are at Alabama anymore. So when you sit back at the point where he had decommitted from the Crimson Tide after Saban had retired, you were looking at the situation thinking, okay, well, he's still going to give Alabama a chance, but this is a real uphill battle they have to try and face here. When you look at this, Auburn has pre-existing relationships with Ryan Williams spanning back a year. The Texas Longhorns are chipping away at him as KJ Lacey is committed to the Longhorns in the class of 2025. And even further than that, Texas A&M is now chipping away at him because Coach Wiggins is with Texas A&M. And through all that, Coach DeBoer and company were able to get a massive win. And when you listen to what Ryan Williams was saying afterwards, he was singing the praise of all the new coaches, from Grubb to Shepard to Coach DeBoer, talking about how authentic they were, talking about how smart they were, and talking about what a great job they did at building a really positive relationship quickly. And that's the thing that I think excites me so much is, yes, yesterday may have been fairly quiet for Alabama fans. There were no surprises, but given the month that Alabama fans have just had, I think that no surprises is a great treat. But even though it was quiet, I don't think it diminishes the impact, because what I do think we saw is this new staff paving the way for them to start answering the major question, can you recruit in the SEC? Well, they re-recruited Ryan Williams really well. They got a big-time win for a Noah Carter. And then you listen to the early reviews from Junior Day, which, remember, was put together at the last minute after Saban retired. It was initially scheduled for in January, then moved, and now another Junior Day at the beginning of March that I think will be massive. Early reviews are coming back very positively. So, though yesterday may have been quiet, in my opinion, it's going a long ways and starting to pave the way towards the answers Alabama fans were hoping they would receive. Now, in the intro, we also talked about discussing a nugget that would excite Alabama fans. That nugget is that Ryan Grubb introduced himself yesterday to boosters by saying, "Hello, I'm Ryan Grubb, and I am your new offensive coordinator." Now, this comes in wake of so many rumors. Will he be Seattle's next offensive coordinator in the NFL for the Seahawks? Now, I've given my take on this time and time again over on Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. You can check me out over there every single day as we're chopping it up, having a great time. My take has remained the same. As great of an offensive coordinator as I think Grubb is, I do believe he will be staying at Alabama, and I felt that way even before yesterday. Why? I think Seattle's going to try and go with someone with more NFL experience, and that's not a negative on Grubb. He just doesn't have the experience at the next level. As good as I think he is, I think Seattle's going to want to pair their head coach, their new head coach, with someone with more NFL experience. So, something to watch, but great news nonetheless, as he has been recruiting through all the rumors. I know Alabama fans wanted him to say, hey, this is just a rumor, but in my opinion, actions speak just as loud as words, if not louder. And the fact that he was on the recruiting trail, repping Alabama gear, recruiting guys to Alabama, and then speaking with boosters about being the offensive coordinator at Alabama, seems to me that he's locked in with the Crimson Tide. I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See you.